Old school RuneScape updates. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Update Thursday video. Today is an update on the Hosidius rework and the Deadman beta. As usual, if you guys like these videos, make sure to drop a like on the video and also let me know your thoughts on today's update in the comment section below. And also, I guess, to add on to some more discussion, summer is coming out. We have some big updates coming out, including Elf City. But to you, what would be a perfect update this summer? Whether it's a quality of life thing or a big update for the game, what would be a great summer update for you? After I cover today's main update, I'm going to move over to the player support and upgrading systems update that was talked about a couple of days ago on the old school website. This is pretty much a big rework of the account security and the player support for not only old school RuneScape, but also for RuneScape as well, which is, you guys don't really care about ours, so let's be honest here. But for OSRS, that's a really big deal because a lot of people have been complaining not only about the player support, but also, of course, about account security. So that, again, that will be linked in the description of the video if you guys want to check out for yourself, but I will cover this at the end of today's video. Okay, now on to today's main update for the old school RuneScape update, and that is the rework to the Hosidius region. Now, this isn't a rework to the different activities, all the mini games and stuff in the Hosidius region, but rather it's just a big redesign of the Hosidius area. As you guys can see from these two pictures, the left side is the old Hosidius layout and the right side is the new layout. And as you can see, in my opinion, it looks a lot cleaner, it looks a lot better, it looks a lot more natural. To the left, the one we had before felt very blocky, the roads were so straight and just felt a bit awkward in my opinion, looked a bit, and it didn't really look like an old school thing to me. So the fact that it was reworked now to how it is definitely makes it, gives it that old school feel, which I think it should have had before, and makes things look a lot nicer. A lot of things have actually changed as well. Again, this isn't necessarily to the different mini game stuff, but rather just more different things are placed. As you guys can see, for example, in the top left, Crane Castle has been extended. It's become a lot bigger. The Tithe minigame has reduced in size, been moved to the bottom right. There's a new town center straight in the middle with a couple new things there, like a granary. But these are all covered down here below, so we're going to go through each of them and see some of the new things in the Hosidius rework. First up, we have the Tithe Farm, which I just mentioned. So previously, the Tithe Farm was the central location of the Hosidius house, and it filled an entire map square unnecessarily. It also contained more patches than any player could use at once. So to fix this, the Tithe Farm has been shrunk to accommodate 40 plannable locations, 10 patches with 4 spots each, and moved to the southern eastern corner of the Hosidius house. Due to the Tithe Farm minigame teleport being moved close to where the Glade teleport currently is, the Glade teleport on the Jagex talisman has been moved closer to the player farm as to not impact farm runs. Another notable change is the lack of Logava Agricoler's cooking supplies store in the new Glade location. Logava's store has been moved to the main town market, while the building itself was moved to the north of the vinery. Additionally, the guard dogs have retired from their post at the cooking score. Don't worry, they're going to a farm. Moving the Tithe Farm has freed up a lot of space, so to make good use of this free real estate, a new town has been built. Most buildings in the new town are not new, but rather relocated from areas previously in the Hosidius region, and in some cases they've had their layout changed. The only new buildings are the ones directly north of the farmer's market, and the rounded buildings east of the market, which are the corn exchange and the granary. The house of Lord Hosidius has been moved from its previous location east of the vinery. The chapel has been replaced by a mysterious ruin. The main bank and the pub have also changed location, and the thriving farmer's market has popped up in the new town square. Most houses and businesses have been moved into this area as well, where the Tithe previously was, which includes the Little Shop of Horus, the general store, various market stalls, estate agents, farming stores, food stores, church, bank, and the Golden Field pub. The southern church in the Hosidius region has been converted to a priest camp, and following this, the priest Charlie Brown decided to move away from the area. There are a few new additions around the outskirts of the town as well. To the south, the new location of the farming patch and the Glade teleport. To the west is a ruined temple. And to the north, there is now a new flax field and some cows. Western Hosidius is now far emptier due to the houses being moved into the town, giving more space for the Hosidius kitchen, as well as reshaping of the mess hall to have a smaller footprint. Another notable change is the change to Watson's house, which has had a bit of an upgrade. The ruined temple dungeon, aka the Hosidius dungeon, has actually been mentioned in a poll blog before. It's a unique dungeon that was pitched for the Hosidius house. This design is still in progress and can be expected to be revisited at a later date. The Forthus ruin is a relic of Old Korend, a stronghold that was utilized during the War of the Five Houses. The old town is now occupied by a small company that operates the saltpeter distribution to all of Korend. The saltpeter deposits have been moved together, and a deposit box has been added in the center of them. The clerk who accepts sulfurous fertilizer donations has also been moved there as well. The shortcut has been moved farther north, and the shortcut's old location now houses a bridge. This improves the flow of the area and puts the spirit tree almost as close to the farming patch as the house portal. Next up is a change to Kingstown, aka the big damn castle you guys see in the middle of Kourend every time. So the entrance to Kourend Castle has now been improved graphically and raised to give a more imposing feel. Now that the buildings that used to take up space here are being moved to the new Hosidius town, there is more room to place parks and houses for the council within the castle area. This will help create a buffer around Hosidius and make Kourend look more like a kingdom-sized city. The Deadman Permadeath stage beta goes live tomorrow, Friday the 24th of May. There's going to be 2 playtests and participation is open to everybody. The first playtest begins at 10:45 BST, aka British Summer Time, or 9:45 UTC, aka the Universal Time Coordinated. The second playtest is going to begin at 2:45 BST or 1:45 UTC. So if you guys would like to play in these are open to everybody, so get in there, get your shot in, and let's make sure that Deadman doesn't crash this time. The Spring Finals rerun is happening on the 14th of June 2019, and the Deadman Mode Summer Finals are going to go ahead on the 22nd of June, concluding with the Permadeath stage on the 29th of June. If you guys would like full details of the rerun and the Summer Finals, there's a link here you guys can click to check out all of that. And finally, we move on to the in other news section. Actually, there's quite a few good updates today in this section, so if you guys would like to pause the video and read through it, you guys can read through it. If you guys would like to go to the description of the video, there's a link to the news post in the description as usual. First up, a change to Deadman and PvP. The lever for teleporting out of the KBD layer now respects teleblocks on PvP and Deadman worlds. The stats for the unimbued crystal halberd now change depending on how much the halberd has degraded. This is in line with how other crystal equipment behaves. Imbued crystal halberd stats will stay the same. Shanty now recognizes that players have inventory spaces to buy a pass from a shop if a space will be freed by deducting up to 5 coins. The main herbler shops, such as Jagex's shop in Taverley, now stocks water-filled vials as well as empty ones. Leprechauns now have bank pin protection, and players who reached 0 hit points in the fight caves as they won and who were put outside should no longer proceed to drop dead out there. Now the reason this update is in today's update is because if you guys didn't see on Twitter, there's a pretty big controversial post that went out where a hardcore actually had just completed the fight caves. He got himself his fire cape. The thing was, he was 4 HP, and when you kill Jad, there's another like 2 to 3 seconds where you're just standing there, and you can still get attacked by the healer. So what happened was, on the same tick that he got teleported out of the fight caves, he got hit a 4 by the healer. So he got hit a 4 outside of the caves and proceeded to die on his hardcore, which meant that even though the fight caves is supposed to be a safe death on a hardcore, he actually ended up dying because he was outside of the cave as he got hit by the melee minion, or the melee healer, sorry, and lost his hardcore status, which this apparently has been an issue for a while, and it was now just fixed. They're not going to give the guy his status back, which feels really bad, obviously, but at least it was changed. All right, now on to the RuneLite update of the day. What do we have? What? No update? Just bug fixes? What the hell, RuneLite? Just kidding. I love you. You're the best. Okay, now on to the player support and upgrading systems news post that came out a couple of days ago. This is a very, very long news post with a lot of information, so if you guys would like to read through it for yourselves, again, I will leave a link in the description of the video today if you guys would like to read through this. They pretty much talk about a lot of different things, but the premise of this news post is that they're pretty much saying, guys, we have an old system when it comes to player support and account security, and we are looking to upgrade it and make it better. That is pretty much exactly what they're talking about here. For example, we have this current situation part right here. For context, most of the systems we use for player support were made back in the early 2000s. Back then, the Nokia 3210 was a flagship mobile phone, and Microsoft had just launched Windows XP. Both of them were groundbreaking at the time, but unsurprisingly compared poorly to the tech available today. You know what else is a good example? You know, my Quest guides in 2013 were groundbreaking at the time, of course, but unsurprisingly, they compare poorly to the current Slayer Music Snuggle Quest guides that are available today. That's also a very good comparison, I have to say to myself. You know, I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. The same is sadly true for their back-end support system. So pretty much here's the idea that the current process JMods go through when it comes to player support. As a JMod receives a query on one system, they have to navigate to a different system using the information provided to manually search the account database. If further changes are needed, a third system is accessed to make the required changes. JMods then have to document everything on the relevant account for the benefit of future JMods. And finally, the actual response to the player is sent. Also note that there's no guarantee that the message will even be read by the player. Nearly a quarter of messages replied are not read. Now, the first thing I think of when I read this is, why was this not changed earlier, bro? If this system was used in the early 2000s, in the mid 2000s, even the late 2000s, why is it only being changed now? It's 2019, 2019. We're almost in a new decade here. 2020 is just around the corner, and we still have the same account security and player support that people were dealing with back in the 2000s. Now, granted, there's some new things like authenticators and all that stuff, but I'm talking about mainly the player support system. People have been complaining about this for a long time, and it's now finally being changed. That, to me, is a bit frustrating. As a player, I would be very frustrated. I'm sure you guys are as well. I'm sure there's many of you guys watching who have had issues with account security and player support. I mean, feel free to leave your guys' thoughts on this one below, because this is, I'm sure you guys all have stories that you could talk about in the comment section, so feel free to let me know. But again, I guess I should be grateful because they're finally talking about changing it. A lot of these changes down here, they're talking about things like improved web forms, email responses, system integration. We have log tickets, answer bots, improved contact routes, support center, all that stuff. That's finally being talked about. So player support is looking to have some big upgrades in the next 6 months to a year, and hopefully that is going to be, lead to an increasingly happy player base. Next up, we have the more to come section. Now, this is talking mainly about player security, and this is really nice because that means potential changes to the authentication system, aka the authenticator. As you guys know, one of the big issues at the moment is when you get hacked, people who are hacking your account can just disable your authenticator and instantly have access to your account. What people want is a delay to the authenticator. When your authenticator gets delayed, give it like a half a day or a day of delay before that change happens. That way, if somebody's hacking your account, you can find out before they get into your account. Now, they go through an entire step process here, step 1, 2, 3, 4, talking about a lot of the changes they'd like to make. So hopefully, again, that will be changed in the future as well. But again, as I mentioned earlier, if you guys would like to read through this for yourself, I will leave a link in the description of the video. But again, I guess I keep saying but again, I'm sorry. I am happy that they're talking about this, right? I am very happy that they would like to improve. Again, better late than never, I guess we could say. It's just like, why now? 2019, this game's been out almost 20 years. But again, I'm going to say it again, I'm happy that they're talking about it. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys all for watching and making it to this part of the video. Really appreciate you guys watching here on these Thursday update videos. Have a great rest of your day. Hope to see you next time. Have a good one, and peace.
Wow.